Hi, boys and girls. My name is Mr. Garcia and I'm a school counselor. I want to thank you all for logging in today to this webinar about domestic violence called My Grown-Ups Are Fighting Again. What can I do? Hopefully, I can help you guys talk about what's been going on at your home, talk a little bit about domestic violence. I'm going to start off reading a story and then talking about our feelings that we get when we think about what's going on, followed by some safety planning and a couple of relaxation techniques that I hope can help you out. At the end, I'll pause to let your parents or your grown-ups look at some resources that might help you out. Okay, well, first things first. Domestic violence, some of you might already know what domestic violence means. Now, you got two parts to that word. You got domestic, meaning your home, and then violence is talking about when someone is getting hurt. And usually when we're talking about domestic violence, that means that a grown-up is hurting another grown-up in your home. And it's usually people that you love. So the violence that we're talking about can be physical, which means it's, with a part of their body, their feet or their hands. Or we could be talking about emotional violence, saying just really nasty things to each other, just fighting all the time. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our story today. The story I have for you today is called A Terrible Thing Happened. Now, this story doesn't say specifically it's about domestic violence, but it's pretty similar. While you guys are listening to the story, you can think if maybe you've ever felt the same way the character in the story feels. It's about a little raccoon named Sherman. Okay, so let's get started. Now this is Sherman. And Sherman Smith saw the most terrible thing. He was very upset. It really scares Sherman to see such a terrible thing. Sherman did not like feeling so afraid. He did not want to remember what happened. So Sherman decided not to think about the terrible thing he saw. Sherman thought that would make him feel better. At first, the plan seemed to work. Sherman woke up every morning, he brushed his teeth, and he went to school. Sherman played with his friends, he teased his sister, and he walked his dog. And everything seemed all right for a while, but something inside of Sherman was starting to bother him. Sherman had to play more, run faster, and sing louder in order to forget the terrible thing that he saw. And then other things started happening to Sherman too. Sometimes he didn't feel hungry. Sometimes his stomach hurt or his head hurt. Sometimes he felt sad, but he didn't know why. Sometimes he was nervous for no reason at all. And sometimes he did not sleep very well. And sometimes when he did sleep, he had very bad dreams. The bad dreams scared Sherman. All of these things started to make Sherman angry. It seemed like Sherman was angry all the time. Sherman started getting into trouble at school. Sometimes he felt so angry that he did mean things. Getting into trouble so often made Sherman feel bad. Sherman did not understand all of his bad feelings. He felt confused. Sometimes parents help children figure out their feelings. Sometimes teachers or other grown-ups help. That is how Sherman met Mrs. Maple. Miss Maple helped Sherman think about his feelings. She listened while Sherman talked to her. They played while they talked. Sherman did not feel as mixed up when he talked to Mrs. Maple. Once, when Sherman and Miss Maple were coloring, she told him to draw a picture of how he felt when he was angry. This seemed a little strange to Sherman, but he did it anyway. After that, Sherman drew lots of pictures. Pictures of the pain in his stomach, pictures of the bad dreams he had, pictures of the fear he felt, and at last pictures of the terrible thing he saw. Sherman and Miss Maple talked about the pictures. He asked if the terrible thing he saw was his fault. Sherman said he worried a lot about that. No, Miss Maple told Sherman, it was not your fault. Sherman told Miss Maple a lot of things. He told her about the bad dreams. He told her how scared he felt. It was all very hard to do. Miss Maple was proud that Sherman was trying to talk about such hard things. Sherman found that it felt good to let his feelings out. Feeling good helped Sherman feel stronger. When Sherman felt stronger, he did not feel so angry. Nothing can change the terrible thing that Sherman saw, but now he does not feel so mean. He is not so scared or worried. His stomach does not hurt as much, and the bad dreams hardly ever happen. Sherman Smith is feeling much better now, and he just thought you would want to know. The end. Wow. So that was something. We never do find out what it is that Sherman saw, what that terrible thing was. But I don't think it really matters, because whatever it was making him feel a certain way and act a certain way. Let's see some of the things that it was doing to him, right? So, what was going on with Sherman? We know he was having nightmares. We know that he was feeling nervous and he was afraid of things. He started having problems at school because he couldn't concentrate. He was getting into fights. He was crying and sad. He wasn't eating well. He had headaches. And another thing was that he couldn't stop thinking about that terrible thing that he saw. So I'm wondering if you have ever felt the same way that Sherman feels, or Sherman felt. Do you sometimes have nightmares or find it hard to concentrate? Do you sometimes get real quiet or upset or withdrawn? Do you get tearful and sad and talk about scary things, scary feelings and ideas? Are you starting to fight more with your friends, or maybe you're fighting in your family? Do you do worse in school? Are you eating differently now? Are you getting in trouble more? All these things, I want you to know, are normal. Especially when a kid has seen some terrible things like domestic violence. It affects each kid differently. Okay? Every kid that sees violence reacts to it differently. Now, kids are tough, but they're not unbreakable. Some kids react physically, and others react emotionally. Some react immediately, and others take a while to show what they're feeling. Kids can show it in different ways, just like Sherman did. Some kids can get really quiet. Other kids can get really loud. Some kids get scared, and other kids get mad. Some kids back down, and other kids fight. But no matter how you're feeling about what you've seen, I want you to know it's normal. So now, let's talk about you a little bit more. We'll talk about some of the different feelings we can have and what we can do when we're feeling a certain way. Okay, because if we learn to talk about these feelings, then we can be able to talk to others and they can help us work out our feelings. You remember the story? Sherman was talking with Miss Maple, and after a while it got a little bit easier for him to talk about what was going on. So let's talk about those feelings that you have. When you think about what's happened in your family or what happened in your family, how do you feel? What is it that goes on in you? Some people, would you feel happy about it? Do you feel sad about it? Do you get scared? Or do you get mad? These are just a few of the feelings you might be having, but if you are watching this with a grown-up that you love and you trust, you might be able to talk about the feelings that you have. Now, when you're feeling a certain way, how do you know that you're feeling that? You know, when you're feeling happy, you might be smiling, you might be laughing. If you're sad, you might be crying or frowning. If you're scared, you might be shaking or crying or screaming. And if you're angry, you might start yelling, or you might get red in the face. Okay? Those are all different ways that you could feel about it. Now, sometimes we have very strong feelings, and sometimes they're not so strong. Okay? For example, sometimes we're a little bit angry, and sometimes we're very, very angry. But if you can see here, I have some numbers from 0 to 10. And it helps when you're talking about your feelings if you can kind of figure out where you think your feelings are, how strong they are. If it's a 0, that means you're not feeling that way at all. If it's a 10, that's the most you have ever felt that way. Okay? So for example, I want you to think about the happiest that you've ever been. If you have a grown-up there with you that you trust, maybe you can talk about the happiest that you've ever felt in your whole life, and that would be a 10. Okay? If you want to press pause so you can talk about it, that's fine. You can press pause. I'll be right here when you get back. Now, what about the saddest that you've ever felt? What would be a 10 on your sad scale? Or what about the maddest? Okay? Go ahead and pause if you need to. Now, when we can rate our feelings, that helps us to keep our feelings under control, so we don't get, in trouble. When you can tell someone you trust the rating, then they can also help you regain control. Okay? Now, we talked about those ratings, we talked about those feelings, and let's talk about what are some ways that people act when they feel certain ways. Okay? What are the ways we can express our emotions, and what are some helpful ways to express emotions? Okay? So let's take, for example, a time that you felt scared. Okay? Think about a time you felt scared and think about what you did. Did you run? Did you hide? Did you scream? Did you cry? Did you try and fight? Did you freeze up? What did you do? And then I want you to think about, after you did that, did it help you? Did it help you feel better? Did it help you stop being scared? Did you tell anyone? Some things we do can help us feel better sometimes. For example, if we talk to a grown-up about those things, or we talk to a friend, when we talk about those things, it helps us to feel better. Okay, sometimes we can write about it, sometimes we can draw about it, sometimes we can make up a song, we can make up a dance, I don't know. Whatever you feel might help you feel better is gonna help you. Then that's what you can do. Okay, kind of like what Sherman did with Miss Maple, where he started drawing about it, and that made him feel better. If you want to take some time now to talk with your grown-up about the feelings that you've had and what you do when you feel that way, then you can go ahead and do that right now, and I'll be back here when you unpause it, okay? All right. So then, talking about these feelings, like I said before, every kid reacts differently to different situations. And one thing that starts to happen, though, when it comes to domestic violence is that kids sometimes blame themselves for their parents or their grown-ups that they love fighting and arguing. They think it's their fault. But it's really important for you to know that it's not your fault, okay? Your parents or your grown-ups should never hit each other, even when they're really mad. People who live together disagree about a lot of things, okay? And it's okay to be angry. But there are better ways to handle things than hitting and yelling at each other, okay? Now, it's your grown-up's job to find out better ways to handle things when they're getting mad at each other, okay? Just remember, it's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to hurt someone. And I also need you to remember that whenever something's going on in your home, people are starting to get upset or angry, it's very important that you not get in the middle of it, okay? Especially when grown-ups are fighting, because, you never know what can happen, all right? So, with that in mind, I want to help you guys think about what you can do if that happens at home, okay? Your grown-ups are starting to get upset, maybe they're starting to yell at each other, maybe some mean words are starting to happen. I want you to make sure you're out of the way, and I want you to stop and think about what the problem is. So here's some letters for you right there. S-T-O-P. The S stands for stop. I want you to think, what is the problem? Okay, is this a problem with you? Is this a problem with the grown-ups? If it's with the grown-ups, then I need you to think about what are some things that you can do. Okay? After you've thought about some things you can do, I want you to think about the outcomes. What's going to happen if you do each of those things? Okay? And then the P stands for proceed, which is that you do the best thing for you. Okay? Now it's important for you to have a plan about what to do when you're feeling afraid or scared that something bad is about to happen. All right? So first of all, who can you tell? Can you name some adults that make you feel safe? Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a teacher at school, maybe it's a counselor that you know at school, okay? If something bad was happening, or if you were worried, or you were feeling unsafe, then these are the people that you should tell, okay? Now, when you tell this safe grown-up, can this grown-up help you write down some phone numbers, or maybe find a safe place to keep them, okay? When you're talking with your grown-up about the safe places you can go, or the safe people that you can talk to, where are some safe places that you can go if something bad was happening at home? Okay, is there a place you can go in your home? Can you go to your room? Can you go somewhere else? Make sure you're feeling safe. Okay. Can you go to a neighbor's house? Think about those things. Talk about those things. If it's getting really, really bad, people are really, really getting hurt, then you also need to know that you can dial 911 if it's an emergency, okay? Now, number one priority is that you need to be safe. It's very important that you feel safe and also that you're able to talk to someone, a grown-up, an adult, that can help you, okay? So, I want you to remember that when you're having those problems that you should ask for help from a grown-up, okay? Someone that you can trust if your grown-ups are getting out of control, okay? You need to find a safe place to go. It can be in your room, it can be in a neighbor's house, somewhere that you can be safe, okay? And it's also important that you guys learn to express your feelings in nonviolent ways, okay? So that way you don't get hurt and that way you don't hurt somebody else, okay? Sometimes kids see people hurting themselves or other people and then they start to think that it's okay to hurt others when they're mad or scared. No, I told you before, it's okay to be mad sometimes. That's all right. That's perfectly normal. When you're scared, when you're mad, it's okay. But it's never okay to hurt yourself or hurt others, okay? So now, let's say you're safe. You're somewhere where it's, that terrible thing is not happening in front of you anymore. You're not seeing it at that time. You're in a safe place, but you start to feel those feelings that you don't like again, okay? So let's talk about that. What if you get upset when you're in a safe place, okay? So I'm going to teach you some techniques right now. So 3 little techniques that'll help you be able to get yourself under control, to help you from feeling nervous or scared or angry, even when you're not around that terrible thing, okay? The first thing we're going to talk about is called controlled breathing. It's a very simple technique. I used it right before I got started with this video to help me feel better. And we're also going to talk about something called thought stopping, which is kind of like what Sherman was trying to do at the beginning of the story, but it wasn't working for him. And then at the end, we're going to talk about progressive muscle relaxation. I'm saving that for the end because it's a little bit longer and it's very relaxing. I don't want you to fall asleep either. Okay, so the first thing is called controlled breathing. Okay, now this is something that we can learn to help ourselves calm down and control our nervous or upset feelings. When you control the way you breathe, it can really help you calm down and feel better. Okay, so it's very simple to do. You can do it anytime, anywhere. And when you get good at it, you can also teach, someone else how to do it. All right, so it's very simple. It goes like this. Down here at the bottom of this slide is a website on YouTube where you can go on there whenever you get a chance and you can watch the little video that shows you how to do it with the little cartoon. But I'm going to show you right now how to do it. It's really simple, okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to put your hand on your chest and you want to put your other hand just above your belly button, okay? Right above your belly. Now, you can't see my belly because it's down, under the camera, so you can't see it. And that's okay because my belly's kind of full. So what you want to do when you do this controlled breathing is you want to take in a deep breath like you're smelling something really, really good, like some cookies or a cake or some flowers. You want to take it all the way in. Now you see the picture of the balloon right there, because I want you to imagine you have a balloon inside your belly, okay? And when you suck in your breath, you want to try to fill up that balloon as best and as big as you can. So when you breathe in, your hand on your tummy is going to go up, but your hand on your chest is going to stay still, okay? Because you're going to breathe into your tummy, not into your chest, okay? When you breathe in, I want you to breathe in really deeply, like you're breathing in something really good. And then I want you to hold your breath for a little bit. Try to hold it for a little bit longer than it took you to breathe it in. And then when you breathe out your air, I want you to breathe it out nice and slow. Try to make it slower than you did when you breathed it in, okay? So that looks like this. It goes like this. Ready? Okay, how'd I do? I do okay? All right. I want you to notice, maybe it's, you can do like a 4, 6, 8. The little video that I have right there is called 4, 7, 8, but I couldn't hold my breath for 7, so I'm going to go for 6. If you breathe in for 4 seconds and then hold it for 6 seconds and then breathe it out for 8 seconds, it should work, okay? So I'm going to count off with my fingers while I'm breathing in and holding, and then you can try it at home and see if you can do it too. Okay, you ready? So it goes like this. I'm going to breathe it into my tummy. I'm going to inflate the little balloon in my tummy, and then I'm going to hold it. So I'm going to go. Ready? Feel better already. Did you try it? Go ahead and try it again. Press pause. I'll wait for you right here. And then when you finish, you can come back, okay? So go ahead. Try it. All right. So you tried it at home. 4, 6, 8. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 6, breathe it out for 8. Make sure you get it way down deep into your belly so that your little balloon in your tummy can fill up, okay? When you're able to do that a couple of times, you're going to feel yourself feeling a lot better. I'm feeling really relaxed right now, okay? Now let's go on to the next one, the next technique. Next technique is called thought stopping. Now thought stopping is pretty easy. You saw Sherman doing it at the beginning of the story, but it didn't go very well for him because he was trying to forget the bad things that he was thinking or the bad things that he was remembering, okay? But it did get better for him once he was able to share it with Miss Maple, okay? So I'm going to teach you a way to stop yourself from spending too much time thinking about those pesky or annoying thoughts that maybe they'll pop into your head, because sometimes when you see something bad, it keeps popping into your head and you'll remember it when you least expect it, or when you don't want to think about it. You know, maybe you're trying to do something important, like maybe you're trying to study, or maybe you're trying to play with your friends. You know, you don't want those getting in there, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to thought stop it, stop the thought. Okay, you see the little red light there and the little kid's thinking. So the way it works is like this. I'm going to ask you to think about something upsetting, not too upsetting, okay? I don't want you to get too upset, but I want you to think about something upsetting, and then we're going to practice this thought stopping. Now, when we practice the thought stopping, I also want you to, once you stop thinking about it, try to think of something nice, something good, something that makes you feel good, okay? So it's going to go like this. I'm going to ask you to think about something, okay? Go ahead and start thinking about something that maybe upsets you, all right? You have it? You have it in your mind? Think about it. Stop! Okay, did you stop? Did you stop thinking about, what are you thinking about now? You're not thinking about that thing anymore, right? No, because I distracted you, okay? And that's pretty much what it is. You think about something, and then you have to find a way to snap yourself out of it, to distract yourself, okay? Now, you might do that to yourself in your mind. You might say stop in your mind. You might say it out loud, stop, you know, when you think about it. You might say to yourself, cut it out, or you might snap your fingers or something like that to kind of snap you out of it, okay? So it's important that you practice this when you're not too upset, okay, to make it easier for you. And when you learn to stop thinking about what's happening so much, you'll find that you're able to pay more attention to what's going on around you, okay, like at school or your friends, okay? But you need to remember, once you get to a safe place, once you get with a safe grown-up, somebody that you can talk to, it's important that you talk about those thoughts, okay? So that way they don't come back and bother you so much. Each time you share them, you're going to find that they don't mess with you as much, and you know, you start feeling a lot better, kind of like Sherman did, okay? So you want to try that again? Ready? Okay. Go ahead and think about something upsetting. Go. Stop! Okay. Did you stop? I hope so. Now think about something nice. Think about marshmallows or rainbows or unicorns or cookies, something that you like, okay? And then that way, whenever you think about that terrible thing, you'll be able to replace it with something nice, okay? That's called thought stopping, all right? And now, our last technique, I'm going to show you something called progressive muscle relaxation, okay? And that's a long name for this, but it's also simple, and I saved it for last because this one really relaxes you, and then I don't want you to fall asleep on me, okay, because we're almost done. So now sometimes when we're scared or we're nervous, our bodies can get really tense and tight, and then that's when we start feeling like this uncomfortable feeling, and sometimes it even hurts to be tense. So you notice when Sherman was having a stomach ache, he was getting you know, his head was hurting and things like that. Sometimes that happens when you get too tense. You know, it's all your muscles tensing up, and it makes your body hurt in places that you know you don't want to be hurting in. So to help you get rid of those tense feelings, we're going to talk about progressive muscle relaxation. Now this one is kind of like a full body muscle relaxation, because the progressive one takes a while to explain, and it's getting late. So I want to do this full body muscle relaxation to help you feel looser and calmer. Okay, so this works like this. Now, I want you to think about, have you ever seen uncooked spaghetti? Uncooked spaghetti is straight and it's stiff, right? Okay. So then when you cook the spaghetti, it gets all you know, all gooey and wiggly, right? Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to pretend that you're uncooked spaghetti, and then we're going to pretend we're cooked spaghetti, okay? So it's going to look like this. Okay, so if you're in your chair, make sure you get yourself in your chair nice and comfortable. And then when I say go, you're going to pretend you're uncooked spaghetti. Now, uncooked spaghetti is very stiff. So you got to make yourself, your whole body stiff from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. Make yourself as stiff as you can. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Uncooked spaghetti. Okay, now we're going to be cooked spaghetti. Ready? Cooked spaghetti. Okay, you see that? That's easy. All right, try it again. You ready? Uncooked spaghetti. Cooked spaghetti. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. Now, you try that at home a couple of times. You might want to change up the way you hold the uncooked spaghetti. Keep yourself real stiff for a while, maybe 5 or 6 seconds. Let it go and just kind of drip like the drippy spaghetti and kind of just, you know, go off. Try not to fall out of your chair, okay? It might be easier if you do it in bed right before you go to bed, because that way you're laying in your bed, you're nice and straight. You can make yourself real stiff, and then you can make yourself real loose, and you'll be on the pillow and you'll be on your nice soft mattress, okay? And so you won't get hurt, all right? So now, those are the 3 techniques I want you guys to practice. If you want to review it, there's a little link down at the bottom that shows you another video of how you can do some different kind of muscle relaxation. But we've talked about a lot of stuff today, and hopefully one of the things that we talked about is going to help you in whatever's going on, with you. I want you to be safe, and I want you to find someone that you can trust, okay, so you can talk about it, all right? So I want you to remember that the violence going on is not your fault, okay? It's not okay, and it's not your fault. Also, it's not your job to fix it. Whatever's going wrong in the family, it's the grown-up's job. It's not your job to fix it, okay? So I need to make sure that you know that you find someone that you can tell how you feel, okay? Now, sometimes you're going to have mixed feelings because maybe the grown-ups that are having the problem, you love them very much, and it's hard for you to understand why they're treating each other that way, but it's not your fault, okay? I want you to make sure you find somebody that you can talk to. Now, you're a tough kid, but you need to know that you can get help when you need it, okay? You're not alone. There's a lot of kids that go through what you're going through or what you've gone through, okay? And there's lots of adults that have gone through the same thing and now they're grown and happy, okay? So I want you to try to make sure that you find some people like that that can help you, that can talk with you and help you to get through this, okay? I'm going to show you some sources here for your grown-ups, for yourself, some different articles, some different books that I read to find research to get some information to you guys. And over here we have some other information that might be helpful. There's a domestic abuse hotline, and there's also those videos that I was telling you about, okay? So I want to thank you for spending your time with me today, and I hope that you're safe, and I hope that you're well, and I'll be seeing you again soon. Thanks a lot.